hey, I know that you're a biblical entrepreneur. And I know one thing about entrepreneurs is we're trying to find a place where we can get the ideas out of our head into a community of people who think just like us, who think positive and not negative thoughts about our dreams and our aspirations. And I just want to let you know that there is a place like that. There is a community like that, and it's called the Morning Meetup, right? This Morning Meetup, we're meeting every single day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're getting together in the morning and we're reading through some books, right, that are elevating our mindset. Not only that, but we're being coached by high-level earners, high-level entrepreneurs who are actually pouring value back into us that's helping to make our businesses to scale up, right? And so the best thing, though, is you get a chance to taste and see whether this community is for you for just $1. That's just for $1. I know for me, I've already received a return back on my investment. And so if you want an opportunity to see whether this community is for you, just click the link in the description and come join us at the Morning Meetup.
All right, I want to welcome you guys all back. This is Lionel Mosby Jr., your host with Lion and the Lambo, where we discuss biblical entrepreneurship, impact, and true success. And I have my brother here this evening, man. It is none other than Chef Smith. Emmanuel, what's going on? How you been doing, man?
Man, I've been great. I cannot complain. What's the point? I'm doing good, man.
Man, what's the point of complaining, man? Yeah, so I'm
Exactly.
gonna love just getting into some of your stories, some of your background, and
Okay.
what you got going on with entrepreneurship right now. And I just want to get everybody kind of ready to hear and to understand what you got to share.
Okay.
What is, if you had to share your biggest win as an
hmm
entrepreneur so far, what would you
hmm
say is your biggest win to date?
I would say, man, my biggest win is that as a teenager, I had a goal to have my own spot at like 16. And
Hmm.
so, man, for that to become possible this year,
Wow.
that was amazing. I never thought that it would happen so quickly. So,
Mm.
so yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So you got a spot this year. You got a
hmm
spot called the
Yep.
spot, right?
Called the spot. Exactly.
You got a spot called the spot. So you guys are
Uh,
driving through, man, Alabama. Y'all gotta hit up the spot, man. And we're gonna get a little bit more into that a little bit later in the episode. But like I always say with everybody I interview, first let's kind of go back though, right? I want to go back in
oh
time. You
yeah.
said 16, you had a thought process of having a spot, of having a location. What can you give us
hmm
a little glimpse into your mindset, into your thought process growing up?
Okay.
When it deals with entrepreneurship, what was it that had your mind thinking in the realm of wanting to be an entrepreneur someday?
Well, I think it all came from my dad. I saw him have his own business cards. He had his office, and so I just picked up on that. As far back as I can remember, maybe man, the age of like 6, 7, I'm trying to sell candy to the children at school. Man, I'm trying to make my own glitter from crayons. I'm trying to sell that. Like I just always had that in me, but I emulated my dad. And
Mm,
so like I saw him at like I said, at the business card. Like he actually had a office, you know. He the name of his business was called Smith Enterprises, man. I would
mm,
never forget that. I knew where his office was. I still remember that, you know.
mm,
And so those things stuck with me. So if people out there are parents, don't think that your children are they're not soaking in the
mm.
the the things that you do and the things that you teach them. Like he taught me everything that I know. And then my mom, man, her just having this, I don't I don't want to say hustle, like she trying to hustle people, but but she had this drive, man, this discipline to like, hey, I see my goal and I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna reach it. And so it's like I had the entrepreneurship from my dad, and then I just had this drive to just push and to not give up at an early age, man. And those things have stuck with me. And as I've gotten older, I see where it comes from. Because at
Mm.
first it's like, oh, these are these are my ideas. I came up with them, the drive and the entrepreneurship, and it's like, no, I've been on this for a long time. So
Mm.
yeah, that's the beginnings.
So it wasn't just you, but it's also the environment you're in. And I think that's something that's
Oh yeah.
important, that the more and more, we talk about, to entrepreneurs and different people in different spaces, one thing I always encourage them to do is, get into different environments. You got to get in different rooms with different
Mhm.
people so that you can think differently, right? So your mindset will be different.
Mhm.
And a part of that, right, is like you say, a part of that environment is our family environment. What do we
Mhm.
see in that arena? How does that lead us to grow in that space? And so what did you grow
Yeah.
up at? What area, what city was that in?
Okay. Well, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
It is a very ghetto. I don't how you say country because I don't I don't see it as being country, but I guess it is. But it was a Memphis is a black city, man. Like
Mm,
it's rich with our culture,
mm,
food, music, and so I was praise um a single parent home. My dad left, I think, when I was about 3, and I think that affects me today.
mm,
But man, God has just he's been my father in the absence of my father.
mm.
My dad was in my life. I felt he could have been more in my life. And so anyway, but yeah, just praise, man. My mother made sure I was in Christian schools. She did that drive and dedication. She made sure I was in a Christian school all the way up to high school.
Mm.
And so if she had to work harder, if she had to ask people for help. Like she did whatever it took to make sure that I had a Christian education. And so me, man, just being around the arts, man, just music. Um, I used to draw when I was younger.
Mm.
And so I've kind of always had that um just the arts, man, have always been a part of me, and I think those things is what shaped me to be who I am today.
Wow, that's awesome, man. And when was maybe your first dive into entrepreneurship from a formal perspective, right? Because I know you shared how early on you kind of really start, selling candy and these different
Yeah,
things, right? But what where was your first kind of like actual formal step into
into
entrepreneurship from?
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah. What was that first step like?
I would say when I got into music, I made beats. I used to sing. I mean, I still sing, but I used to try to rap. Uh, actually, a- actually, all of this stuff was kind of birthed in Houston, Texas, man.
Really?
Um, yeah, I was
Okay.
like 25, and so, like I said, I've always had this art type of thing. So, man, I was like, well, how can I make this work? So I started doing CDs. Those are kind of old now, but
Right.
I would pass out my CDs. I got my cards, like all of these things. And so God just shifted me to a different direction. And so that's when health came into play. And so I would
Mm,
say my first formal, man, was when um I'm skipping some parts, but it was when I began to ship off my products, man, my pastries and jellies and stuff, man. That was my first introduction into doing it in a formal way.
Gotcha. You start packaging things, labels, shipping. Then you
Yeah,
got to come up with your merchandising and figure out how much
yeah.
it costs. And I got you. I understand. So, but how did you get from music though to coming into this arena where you're dealing with food though? What made you make that transition? What made you leave music, right? Because there's a lot of people who
Yeah.
continue
Oh
into
yeah.
music and do great things in that, right? In that field, in that genre. But why did you leave and say, okay, I'm gonna go over here into this arena of being a cook, being a chef?
Man, that's so interesting. Let me go back. Since the age of about 8, I've I used to watch my mom cook in the kitchen, and I'm seeing her she's measuring stuff with the teaspoons and the measuring cups and stuff, and so that just that just piqued an interest in me at an early age. And so at first, I'm just trying to get in the kitchen to sneak and eat the food and stuff. But but over time, I was like, huh, how does she put this together and measure it and it come out like this? And so she began to see that, oh man, he has a interest in it. He's not just trying to come and sneak and eat the food and heck the bowl, after she had made some pie.
Right.
So she began to teach me the basics. And so at the age of about 10, man, I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking meals, man. I'm
Wow.
creating
10 years old.
creating my own stuff. And so from there, man, in my high school yearbook, this was so interesting, is that I think I was probably like 30 something. So I look back like, man, what were my goals and stuff? And when I tell you, I had almost accomplished all of them. I
Wow.
said I wanted to be a chef. I said I wanted to have my own restaurant. I said like all of these things, man. And so have some other thing too. It's good to make goals early, you know, and to look back to see have I accomplished those?
Right.
Am I near accomplishing them?
Right.
And so then uh this is what happened. I was like, man, I'm be a chef. I'm going to school after high school because that was my goals. And so 99, man, and then Memphis, there were no cooking schools back then that were
Really?
near that that were near me.
Gotcha.
And so I went on the internet and I searched, and it was like the closest school was in Pennsylvania. And I'm like, I don't have the money to go there, then to pay to go there.
Right.
So I literally, and this is something, man, that people should not do. Always pursue your dreams. Find a different method. Don't just stick to only one. Because if that doesn't work, then it's like, oh, I have to give up. But that's what I did. I said, man, the school is too far. Who is going to help pay? Like, I didn't even really put forth the big effort to see, is it a way to make payments? Can I get it through financial? Like, I just gave up at what I thought would work. And so man, I got into the 9 to 5s and did all of that. And so the music thing, man, 2006, after one of my sisters died, my dad had died, and another sister died, and so I was depressed, man. I stopped listening to any music. I was just in this deep depression.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I came out of that and I got back into like singing and music. And I was like, man, I want to make beats and rap and do this and that. So now cooking and stuff, that was so far. I still cook,
Right.
but me trying to learn and do it better and, be a chef, like all of that was just far
That dream,
gone.
you lost that dream in a sense.
Yeah,
Got
yeah,
you.
I
Mm.
did, and so I started to pursue music. I was trying to come up with a whole new genre. It was gonna be called positive music, you know,
Oh, okay.
and so man, I was pushing that thing hard.
She's creating your
I
own lane.
Yeah, and so I was literally about to put together this huge festival, man, like musicians. I'm paying people to be a part of this. And this was like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And so had the money to fund it, like everything was set, man. And so God took me on this men's retreat
Hmm.
and he began to show me how was a group how to come up and sing, rap, or whatever. And so I just had this urge, man, that I had to go to the bathroom, just all of a sudden. So as in the bathroom, God just began to show me that the music, what you're doing, is not bad
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but for me, it was not what He wanted me to do. And
Mm.
so he began to just show me and say, "Hey, can you give this up?" And I was like, "Yeah, Jesus gave up everything for me." And so but God had to say, "Well, hey, after you give this up, go and do this." And so I gave it up, and I'm just kind of waiting, like, "Ah, what do I do now, God?" And so for a couple of months, He didn't say anything. I'm praying, I'm
Mm.
saying, well, and then for me to drop that event, people were like, "Dude, how are you doing this?" And I'm like, at the time, I literally ran out of money, so that was
Mm.
an excuse to kind of give. I'm sure people found out after why I
Right.
decided how to. But yeah, so I stopped that, and then God brought me into true ministry for me.
Mm.
And so that was just spreading the gospel. Like I was slanging the CDs at first. Now I'm doing DVDs
Mm.
of man sermons and man,
Right.
I think I was able to get out about 6,000
Wow.
DVDs all over the world, man.
Wow. That's
I I
awesome.
think I think it was probably only two places that I didn't hit was like China and Japan. But man,
Mm.
Australia, New Zealand, Africa,
Mm.
I mean, that was a blessing. And so I'm I'm doing that. And so I'm here in Huntsville working at Oakwood.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so a person came to work there and they said, "Man, you're really good at cooking and doing this thing. Why don't you go back to school?" I was like, go back. I mean, I kind of used up all of my financial aid, or so I thought.
Right.
And so I'm skipping a part. I'm gonna go back to it though, but
Okay.
um, so I'm like, really go back to school. So I pray on it, and Holy Spirit's like, well, just see, can you go? so
Mm.
so I went for 2 semesters, man. That was like that was a good time. I'm I'm with the teacher teaching the class.
Wow.
Cause at this point, Kevin's Healthy Kitchen is like
Mm.
up. So
When you go
I
back to
ended up,
school, it was already up.
yeah,
So when that
yeah,
person came to ask you and saying, "Man, you good at cooking? Why don't you go back to school?" You had already had at this point started Heaven's Healthy
HSK,
Kitchen as a business.
yeah,
Hold on, we skipping something then because
yeah. I
oh,
know,
okay,
I
okay,
know,
okay. All right. You
yeah.
got it. You got it.
So, so that took me back to the dream of going
Right,
to a culinary art school.
right.
And so that was the transition from music to doing
Got you.
food and Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. Now to go back,
And hold on, before you
so
go back, when
yeah,
when you had that conversation, when you went to the bathroom that time, and God met you and
oh
said,
yeah,
"This is not what I want you to do."
mm-hmm,
Was this a situation where it was like that you had a personal relationship with God that was on fire at this time? Was this
mm-hmm,
what did you go through a transition before this, right, and have this true conversion experience, or what
mm-hmm.
was that relationship with God at that time that even led to that point, right, or that moment?
Man, I was seriously seeking God, man.
Mm,
And how sometimes you think that you're doing everything right until God taps you on the shoulder like,
mhm.
not quite, but I wink in ignorance.
Yes,
So
yes,
it
yes.
was it it was that. So when God said, "Can you give this up to really serve me?" I paused for like a second and said,
Mm,
"Yeah." And the the picture that came in my head was Christ on the cross. Like, man, Jesus
mm.
gave it all up, man, for me. I can give up this little thing here. And so that's where that came from. Like I literally stopped everything I was doing. I'm printing out CDs and I'm booking people to come and sing and play and all this stuff, man. And I could easily give it up because
Mm.
I did have a conversion moment, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. That's what it sounded like, right? But I just wanted
Mhm.
to kind of see if
Oh
you
yeah.
could just mention that, because I think that's
Mhm.
very important, especially when we talk about being biblical entrepreneurs. Is
Oh
we
yeah,
may be
yeah.
going in directions that, like you say, you kind of left this dream sitting here, went in a total different direction, and even were
Mhm.
seeing success in that direction,
Oh
but
yeah.
yet still wasn't what God wanted and called you to do. But it took your conversion experience and you really seeking and searching with God for him to be
Mhm.
able to then bring you back to where he exactly desired for you to be,
Oh yeah. Yeah, because if that had been a time where I was not seeking God, I would have been like, no, this isn't bad, and that I would have been given ex, excuses, and I might not have been able to clearly hear God
Mm,
speaking. Like I clearly heard Him talking to me.
mm.
It was a question and answer. He was like, so you hear this and how do you think about that? And I'm like, well, da 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 da. And then Holy Spirit's like, no. And then, so how do you think? Like, we're having dialogue like we're having now. Like, that's how
Mm,
clear that conversation was. And
mm.
so I can look back now and truly see, like, man, yeah, that's where God, this is where I was supposed to be
Mm,
and go
mm.
and do the things that I do now.
So if you had to tell somebody out there, right, they may be watching and say, I'm really trying to figure out whether this is the direction that God wants me to go in as far as business, right? Or is it something else? Maybe it's one of these two things, and these directions are totally different from each other. What would you tell them, from your perspective of what they should do? What should their next steps be in order for them to understand which direction God wants them to go in terms of business?
Well, I would first say position yourself to hear the Holy Spirit speaking. And so that first comes with the connection of a personal, not just you going to church and you might pray here and there. Like you need to have a connection. Not to say that God doesn't speak only only if you have a connection,
Mm-hmm.
but you can clearly hear him speaking and know that it's him.
Right.
Because I personally believe that there's three voices. It's your own voice. Of course, it's Satan speaking, and then it's the Holy Spirit. It's God. So you don't want your your voice can be the things that you want to hear and the things that you really want to do anyway. And of course, Satan can be just deceptive. So that's why to hear God speaking, it has to line up with the Bible. That's our only guide. So it can't just be, well, this don't sound bad. Like in my case, it wasn't a thing of, man, if I do this, I'm sinning, or it's just so
Right.
wrong.
Right.
But for me, it was not what God had called me to do. And even though I was pushing that thing and pursuing it, but that's me anyway. Like, I'm gonna give 1,000%.
Right.
To anything I make my mind up to say, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make this type of cake. I'm gonna find out how to do it. I'm gonna, I'm gonna give it my all. It has to taste the best. So that's just me anyway.
Right.
But if I see, all right, doing it this way isn't the best, let me do something different. And so that's where, you as a business, as a biblical entrepreneur, you have to know that you can let things go, do something different, or just altogether stop it and start over, or just do something else, And so that's exactly what happened to me. And so now 06, 07, when I was deep, and if somebody had said, hey man, you need to stop this because God got this, fucking what? This is God stuff.
Right.
But God holds the perfect time to reach us and get us to truly understand. But we have to be in a position, because we definitely don't want God to say, well, they're not even paying attention, so I can't give them this knowledge and understanding.
No, that makes perfect sense, man. I appreciate you sharing it. I know somebody out there is going to resonate with that and be able to take that, right? Take that information and be able to really know and figure out, where it is that God has them and what he desires for them to do. And, we can't be fearful and scared of their faces, like it says in Jeremiah. A lot of times, we don't want to move or change direction. It's not necessarily because we don't even know internally that this is probably not the direction. It also could be, well, I've been moving in this direction for so long, and I felt at that time that this is what God called me to do. And the reality is it could have been exactly what God called you to do at that time, right? You know what I mean? But you have to be ready to hear his voice and know the direction that he's leading you in and calling you to now, right? You know what I mean? So,
No, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now I know you was
And
talking to
so,
us, you going back about, you know,
mhm,
about the beginning, right, of Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. You know, we want to know
mhm,
what happened there.
okay. So 2012,
Okay.
it all started with my wife. She was on this, I'm gonna be healthy, I'm gonna eat better, and da da da. It's crazy, but she's the inspiration because I was
Mm.
not on no changing my changing no diet. I was eating meat, I was eating dairy, I was proud of it. Because she started to drink soy milk, and I'm like, that don't
Mm.
taste good. Never drunk it though. Never drunk it, but I'm
That
like,
is
it
hilarious.
don't taste good. So she so she started on that. She had stopped eating meat. I'm still up here cooking fish and eating burgers, and man, I was horrible, man. And so, but and that's the important thing too. Even when everybody's not on the same page, don't feel that you need to go with the crowd. Like be that person
Mm.
that that sticks out and other people can get inspiration from that. But if everybody's going in the same direction, it's
Mm.
kind of like, all right, well whatever, well this whole group is doing it, so I might as well. If she had not been on that health tip,
Right.
I would have been like, man, she seemed happy doing it and content, and
Mm.
so that's what helped me because I'm like, oh man,
Right.
she losing weight,
Right.
she not getting sick,
Mm.
every year, and I was like, wait a minute, there might be something to this. And so me watching her made
Mm.
me go, well, let me see how does this soy milk taste. And so I drank
Mm.
it. I'm like, hmm, it's not bad. It
Mm.
doesn't have that little filmy taste from like regular milk.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I can do this. And so I'm sure Shay was like, man, I thought I had something to myself. Nope. And so I began to go from vitamin D milk to
Mm.
um
How,
two
how
two
long was that
percent.
process before you started to actually say,
Man,
you know what I mean? Like, how long was your wife starting this healthy trend before you then kind
mhm.
of piggyback off of that?
She was doing it like 2012, maybe the summer time.
Okay.
I didn't I didn't get on board until like man winter. So
Okay. So this is like months into it, 5, 6, 7 months,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, she tearing that soy milk up. Like, it must taste good. so, so I was like, oh, okay. And soy milk was expensive, boy, back then. So it was like, all right, I'll drink it here and there, but you know, the 2% is like $1.
Right.
so,
Exactly.
and so, but yeah, I just slowly started to get off of it. And so the
Mm.
milk was first, then beef came next. Beef was not that hard.
Okay.
Chicken though was difficult. And
Hmm.
and here's the crazy thing too. I began to have urges. I didn't
Hmm.
even eat meat every day, but I just had a urge to eat chicken fingers, fried chicken, baked chicken,
Hmm.
spicy chicken, barbecue chicken. It was like, and I was like, oh, the devil don't want me to get my health.
Hmm.
And so I was like, all right. So I'm praying, and I'm like, God, just give me the strength. And so then I stopped eating
Hmm.
fish. Was the highest meat that I would eat,
Okay.
and then dairy products, cheese, man. I had to pray a special prayer. I said, God, I love cheese, and I seriously don't think I can stop it. Only if you take the taste out of my mouth will be, I think, the only way. So I'm praying. I've had a juice fast. I've had a fruit fast also, and man, that fruit fast, that was hard, man. That was hard. It's not like I had like passion fruit and pineapple. Man, I had oranges, bananas, apples, grapes. So, man, that was rough. I wanted to eat food so bad. I was tired of eating fruit. But man, I prayed and I got told it like the third day was the roughest day. I was like, man, just fruit, another orange. But you know, God, He gave me strength, and so I pulled through that week, took a break, and then I did a juice fast. Wasn't as hard, but man, I I wanted to chew something so bad. And so man, after that, man, I lost 15 pounds the
Wow.
first week, 10 pounds the next week. Man,
Wow. That's
do
crazy.
do you know my motivation shot off the roof? And so I'm praying, saying, God, give me the strength to get off the cheese, right? And so after the juice fast, man, we get invited to someone's house after church. And what do they have? Cheese on everything, melting, stretching. And you know what? I did not have the taste to eat
Oh, wow.
cheese.
That's a blessing. He took it away.
Yes, yes. And I was like, man, I don't have a taste for cheese. Like it's all around me and I'm good. Like, and so man, from that over the course of 6 months, I lost 60 plus pounds, man. And so from there, it's like God brought back. I remember you wanted to cook and stuff and be a chef, and so I was like, yeah. So I prayed and I said, God, I need substitutes because I used to eat cheese and meat and all of
Right.
these things, and so God showed me that at that time, it's 2013. They didn't have the vegan mayo, man. If they did, it was the that expensive one, veganese.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
even know why that's still so expensive. But anyway, so I began to see that, man, all the stuff got high fructose corn syrup. It's got this in it and that in it. And so I was like, I might have to make this stuff myself. And I have never, besides a salad, I ain't made no vegan food. Like I don't know how
Right.
to make
Right.
vegan mac and cheese and
Right. Right. Right.
so I began to research and see like, man, how do you make these things? And I'm like, you can make pie that tastes like the regular thing but mac and cheese was the one. I was like, you can't fool no party with no fake cheese.
Right.
But
Right.
man, I made it. I was so excited, hyped, and then the
Wow.
chicken, man. When I made that and it was stretchy, it's not what it is today. But back then it was like black, greasy, but man, I was so proud that I had made that, and I'm like, this stuff stretches. What is this? And
Wow.
so,
That is crazy.
yeah. So from the waiting house and me learning to create, man, like food, it's an art, and
Wow.
it's like it came back to, remember, you did want to cook, and you might not be able to go to school, but hey. And so, man, I posted and I made the mac and cheese and the chicken. I put it up on Facebook, and I was like, man, that look like chicken. You said that you don't eat meat and stuff now, and
Right,
so
right, right.
I'm like, no, and I was like, man, that food looks good. So I post, and I'm only posting because I'm like so hyped. Man,
Excited.
I can't
Right, right,
believe I'm making vegan food.
right.
So then people kept on saying, man, your food looks good. You should sell it, start a business. I'm like, what? No. And so, but as the pressure that people kept on saying, man, your food looks, they
Mm,
ain't ever ate it. They don't know how it tastes. And I'm putting stuff on like paper plates, man. This ain't
mhm.
no fancy what HHK is now.
Right,
And
right.
so I went to God. I don't know, bro. It's something about the bathroom that God just speaks. so so
That
I
is hilarious.
then I'm in there just talking. We having casual conversation, and I'm like,
Mm,
God, these people. I'm a entrepreneur, so it's in me. So
hmm
I'm like, God, is this what you want me to do? Do you want me to do continue in the 9 to 5? Do both? Only do this cooking thing? This
mm,
is pre the name, all of that. And so God said, I want you to just do the cooking, but
mm,
educate people, teach people, spread the helping message. And
mm.
so I was like, all right, God. So then I go back and I'm like, well, what should I call it? Man, people started coming up with goofy names, and I'm like, what? I'm like, but one person, and I
Uh-huh.
think I remember the person that came up with this name, but they came up with Healthy Kitchen.
Mm,
I was like, I like that. I like this. So then I go back to God, and I'm like, God,
mm,
I kind of like Healthy Kitchen, but what do you think? So God
mm,
said, call it Heaven's Healthy Kitchen.
Amen.
I was like, I like that. And so at the time, God didn't tell me why that name.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh man, Kevin's Healthy Kitchen. I was big on catering when I first started,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have a kitchen to do meals and all that stuff. I could only do catering.
Mm-hmm.
So man, HHK was started February February 2013,
Mm.
and I started off just shipping off cookies, jellies, and stuff. I'm just so hyped that people want to order it, because
Right, right.
I put up a picture of my cookies and stuff, and oh man, had me order some. And this girl in California was my first
Wow.
customer.
Wow.
I'm shipping from Memphis to Cali, man. And so, and so I can honestly tell you profits and making, had I known how, I think I probably was giving them praise for food, man. I was just so excited. Like, oh man, people want to taste. And my price point, I know I was just totally undercutting
Right, right, right.
myself. But as you grow, you understand,
Mm-hmm.
and humble beginnings, and the Bible says, don't despise small beginnings.
Right.
So don't think coming out of the gate that you just gotta have a brick and mortar and just have all these customers and people following your Facebook and your Instagram and all of that stuff because I had none of that.
Mm.
But I had my drive, and I'm praying and I'm asking God to teach me, show me what I need to do, how to do this. Like I did not go to school to to learn how to start a cooking business. Like it was just trial and error, and just God teaching me, telling me what to do, how to do this. Um, Interesting story. I was bent on getting a food truck, and so I know what size, and I know what I'm gonna put in it. I'm planning it all out, and so one day God said, "Listen, here's why you don't have this yet." He said, first of all, you need your safe serve certification. So if I gave you this truck, you couldn't drive it. So then he said, also you don't have a business license. You're not an LLC. You're not incorporated, so you're not protected. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And so God is just he's showing me all the things I don't have. And this is because like I said, I give everything 1,000%. So I'm just going hard. I know the prices of everything, and I'm doing a Dalton Haitian thing and all of this stuff. And then God said, first of all, you have to get all of these things first. If I gave you this food truck, it would be a disappointment. Because he would quickly find out that you need your food permit, safe serve, your business license. You have to have a commissary that you have to park this food truck at. And so I was like, wow. And so shortly after that is when God said, I don't even want you to have a food truck right now. Here's a brick and mortar. Like, here's what God did. God provided the money to pay for this brick and mortar. Outside of me making any money, like this is coming from a source that is not taking away from the family.
Right.
It's not taking away from HHK, it's adding. And so first God increased that. Then he even just brought the idea up to me because I wasn't thinking. I'm still food truck. I know all stuff I need to have. So yeah, food truck is the goal. And it's not to say that God is saying don't ever get it. He was just telling me now is not the time. I have something different. And so so first God provided the money. So I couldn't say, well, I don't have the money. So a friend of mine said, hey, there's this spot over here and the people moved out and just go check it out. So my first thought, and so this is why we have to change our thought process. Because I did have the money, but I was just on the man. I don't even have the money to pay that, and I ain't even checked it out to say if I can or if God can provide it. So and so I was like, well, it it won't hurt to check it out. So I went over there and was like, oh man, I can't afford it and have money left over.
Right.
So we get all the way to me getting the keys. Like I'm paid, the owner pulls out. and I'm devastated. I'm like, why would I get this far? And he just out.
Mm.
I said what I'm gonna do,
And,
how
and,
I'm
and you
going
were
to
you
do
renting it
it.
or were you purchasing it?
Renting.
Okay, gotcha.
And so,
Mhm.
but then I began to think, you know what, God wouldn't tease me like this. He won't be like, here's the key. No, no. So I was like, God, so- you're something else. Because then I began to think, he provided the money first. He gave the idea to even you can get a brick and mortar.
Mm-hmm.
So man, I was like, well, let me go and search and see can I find a spot. So I went on this search, and the spot I have now is a spot that God showed me,
Wow, wow.
and man, I was just like, wow, like we have to look back. The the Bible tells us that
Mm-hmm.
as we forget the
Hmm.
past and where God has brought us from,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right. No, that's
And
and how long have you
so
had the spot?
it's been since Valentine's Day.
Okay, so since
This
February this
year.
2021. Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And so of course people come and say, man, it's been many Christian food spots, but they don't serve, they don't stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna be different because one, I'm the first hygienic restaurant.
mm,
So I have our books, and it's not just food, it's health, it's wellness. I don't
right,
care.
right.
That's the name. So a couple of years ago, God said, "Here's some meaning of the name."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Heavens represent the the gospel."
Mm,
He said, "Healthy represents the health message," and
okay.
he said, "Kitchen represents the food."
Okay.
So you see what comes last. is
Right,
is
right. It's the
is
food.
not just food.
Mm,
Is the gospel is always first, and the right
mm,
hand of the gospel is the health message.
mm.
When God revealed that to me, I was like, "What?"
I know.
Because people have been telling me, "Man, that's a long name. Heavens, healthy kids. That's long." And I was almost like, well, maybe healthy kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? When God gave me that name, nobody had Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. A
Mm-hmm.
couple of people had Healthy Kitchen,
Right,
but not Heaven's Healthy Kitchen.
right, right, right.
And so, man, it's just so amazing, man, how God will direct you and show you. He doesn't always show you things right when things um, happen.
Right.
But if you put yourself in a position to hear his voice, man, he will tell you.
Right.
He will reveal everything to you, because he says, "I withhold no good thing." So
Mm-hmm.
we just
Amen.
have to be in a position to hear him, you know.
No, for sure, for sure. And I love how you just say, as I hear you going through your story and telling that, even though, like you say, God is meeting you in these bathrooms, many a times, right? That's
Yeah,
just not y'all spot. But
yeah.
it's so interesting though, because you continually went back to him, what about this?
Mhm.
What about this, right? What about this? And even as you said, when God showed you, look, this is why you don't have the food truck, because you need these things. A lot of times we treat God as if he's not practical, as if he doesn't require
Mhm.
a co-laboring with him in the
Mhm.
process. And I had another
Mhm.
interviewer who mentioned the point of making God her business partner. And I think that's exactly what it is, right? God is our business partner. He's walking with us every step along the way. And he's in it, just like any good business partner, they say, well, why would I give you a food truck when you don't got this? You don't got this, you don't got this, you don't got this. You guess what? What he's saying is he's a God of decency and an order. And you have to do and acquire certain things before I'm going to give you this. It wouldn't even make sense. It wouldn't make any sense for me to give it to you right now when you don't have these other things in place. And us as business owners, as biblical entrepreneurs, we got to think, well, if we want to head in this direction, the question is, well, what do we have in place? Do we have this thing taken care of? Have we taken care of the next step or the next step? Well, if we haven't, then why do we want the thing that's supposed to come in step 10 and we haven't even started step 1 yet? You know, it just it doesn't make any sense, right? You know what I mean? And you know, you had mentioned too about the price point of being something early on that you say, man, when I look at it now, I'm like, I was giving away food, right? How you know, because you know, when you talk to a lot of people, especially in this entrepreneur space that are Christians, right? There's kind of a mindset on even profiting that is not necessarily really in agreement with what the scriptures show, right? You know what I mean? But how are you able to get over that, right? Were there any obstacles along your way? Were there any people who kind of look down or maybe shun the thought process of you changing your price from one price point to another because you realize, look, I have to be able to run this like a business. I have to be able to profit from this to take care of myself and my family and to take care of the supplies and the food. You know, what were kind of the obstacles of changing, you know, and from one price point to another as you grew as a business owner?
Man, I began to look back like, man, I'm not gaining. I'm just giving away food. And so I think the biggest thing was that I don't like to I like to be a nice person. So as a business owner, you can be a nice person, but you have to understand that it's a business at the same time. So you can't give away all of your product. You know, you can't undersell because how are you going to restock and, you know, pay bills? And so at the beginning, a prayer was, God, I want to get to the point where what I'm doing is literally paying my bills. Because at first it was slow. Like the first customer bought some cookies and some jellies. And so I'm doing this at the beginning, but then I'm like, man, me sending off 12 cookies costs this much money. Now, if I had 10 customers doing that, okay, now I can make one big batch, send that all out. But if it's one order this week, two more 2 weeks from that, I need to ship stuff off at the same time or just have a big order, you know. And so those things God is teaching me. He's saying, look, this right here don't make sense. So yeah, you're getting your product out there, but are you making a profit? Is it making a true difference? You know? And so so just along the way, and my wife is like, this right here this don't look right. So having that partner is definitely gonna let you know, like, this right here, I think you should do it like this and this. So yeah, just along the way, different people just saying, I think you should do this and that. Matter of fact, I was like in between working and doing HHK. And this is before I went and prayed and talked to God. So me and this guy we had went out. He installed hood systems. Those are pricey, but that's a lucrative business. So we spent the whole day, man, just going downtown, talking to different business owners and stuff, and we're looking at the hood systems and saying, yeah, this needs to be clean. I didn't know, so I was just gonna assess
Right.
him. So he first comes over and he sees me packaging up cookies and jellies and all all his stuff. So we come back for the day. We didn't make no sales. We didn't get no business. And he's like, man, this is just me. I suggest you talk to God though. But I think, man, you need to focus on what you're doing here with HSK. And so I was like, you think so? Because I'm thinking that hustle, like I need to do a 9 to 5, has a guaranteed check. Because I'm like, these little cookies and these jams, like, yeah, you know. And so I prayed, and that was the prayer for, should I do this full time, part time, do a 9 to 5, or just don't even do it? And so that's when God told me. He was like, do this. And so I called the guy back, man. I talked to God, and God said, focus on this.
Wow.
And so different people have definitely, man, helped doing the way.
Wow.
Because if he hadn't have said that, I would have still been like, well, hey, man, I need to do this 9 to 5 thing. I got to take care of my family. And
so after that conversation, you stopped working with him from that point moving forward? Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And then so
man,
how long did
faith,
it take you get to that point,
man,
right? Yeah, you had to operate on faith.
man, faith is the key that unlocks doors within a business, man. If you don't have faith, it's gonna be extremely hard. Because I have had to make decisions where I'm like, God, it's on you, because I don't know what to do. Because man, it's been times to see the mentality is, okay, a guaranteed check, or I can do this to make more money, because I was raised by my mom, and so that's what she did. So I saw her do that, and so that stuck with me. Hey, you have to do whatever you need to do to take care of your family, but to step back and truly trust God, man, boy. And so I did make mistakes. I did say, man, shoot, I need to pay these bills, so I'm gonna go and work a quick little job. Every single time they did not work out. So
that's not what God calls you to do.
Exactly. So the last time I did it was 2018. I was working for Publix, doing what? Slicing up meat in the deli. I don't know why I didn't understand that the deli meant that. I thought, well, I'll be making sandwiches and stuff. No, I had to be around chicken, fried chicken, all types of meat. I got a slice of meat, and then the pork. I couldn't touch that. So every time a customer got pork, man, I knew my fellow employees would pay like, man, I gotta go do his job.
Right.
I would say pork. And so, but man, the smells started to get to me. And so
Mm.
here's the crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to God, and I'm like, God, I'm at this job, and the smell of meat and da 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 da. So God will check you.
Mm-hmm.
God was like, "Hey, listen, I did not tell you to get that job. I told you what to do
Straight like
years
straight like
ago.
that. Yes.
Yes, straight like that.
It's like you coming to me, but I never told you to go work there.
I didn't tell you to get this job." And so then on top of that, God said, listen, if you would have obeyed me
Mm.
and did what you asked me to tell you, he said you could have been further with HHK
Mm.
than where you are right now.
True.
I
Mm.
was like, what? He said you could have been further than where you are now if you would have simply trust me. So
Mm.
from 2018, I said, all right, God, I've been sitting up here concerned about how am I going to pay the rent and how am I going to pay my car note and
Right.
gas and groceries and all of this. I said, God, everything is on you. I am totally trusting on you for everything. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say, well, I don't have this or they going to take this. I said, it's on you. When I tell you, when I made that and I prayed and I
Mm-hmm.
said, God, I'm trusting you to supply all my needs. If HHK is here one week, if it's
Mm-hmm.
here, if it's just I ain't getting no customers, I said,
Mm-hmm.
God, everything is on you.
Mm.
Let me tell you what God did. God showed out. He showed out, man.
Tell me.
So I was complaining about, well, God, I can't pay the rent. I was in school at that time. So I
Uh-huh.
was getting money to go to school.
Right.
For some reason, it was something going on where it was a delay with me getting it. So then um, people took my car. But I was at so much peace that of course it's disappointing, but I'm like I'm trusting in God.
Mm-hmm.
So not even a beat goes by. First of all, they came and snuck and got the car, even though I was corresponding with them. They
Mm-hmm.
took it on the Sabbath, you know.
Mm.
So I had to work that Sunday. So I'm just conversating with one of my friends, and I'm telling him, man, they took my car, but I'm gonna trust God. Da, 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 da. This dude drove from Illinois to
Mm.
Huntsville in his car, gave me his car,
Wow.
took the bus back to Illinois, and I was in a car to go to work. I was at Oakwood though to go to work the next day.
Wow.
You
And
know,
who was this? And I mean, what was the connection?
he was a good friend of mine.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's
and
awesome.
so
The Lord just
um,
showing up.
yeah, and so then I was saying, God, the rent. So God put us in a house 6 months, no rent.
Mm.
And so I just began to see, man, just God just working everything out. So that particular car was a older car.
Mm-hmm.
The tire rod literally came off of that car,
Mm.
but it happened in a driveway. I don't know how the highway, because I'm like, man, did I ru- did I run over something? No.
Mm,
The actual tire was like bent like this under
mm.
the wheel part.
Wow.
So I'm still calm. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm trusting God.
Right.
So so I lost a job at Publix. They just they just stopped putting me on the schedule. So so I didn't quit.
It was nothing you did. They just like
Nothing I
somehow
did.
you just didn't show up on the schedule no more.
I looked on. Well, I did take a break because I was in school, and
Mm-hmm.
so I said I'll be back on this date. They was like, cool. I went in the system. I put my time in,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting ready to go back to work. And I'm like, they only got me for one day. Then
Wow.
I see the next week. I ain't even on the schedule. The week after, I ain't okay. Y'all just fired me that way. So how's the car? So yeah, the title ride comes off of that car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm praising God. I'm not complaining. Like, man, I don't have no car. Da, da, da. This happened on a Friday.
Okay.
Sky gives us another car on that Monday. It was
Mm.
either that Monday or that Tuesday.
Right.
And money to put down on the car, money to pay for the tag.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping in mind, I don't HHK is still in this beginning stages because I left Memphis two years after HHK was started.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming somewhere new, so I
Right.
have to restart
Mm-hmm.
here. So it took about 2 years to really get it going here, because we we were home we were homeless for almost 2 years, just having
Mm.
here and there, came found a job, and so 2017 was when HSK got back going. 2018 was when God was like, Hassan, you could have been further. So at that point, I was like, God, I'm trusting you for everything.
Right.
And so got the one car, that has to got another car a couple of days after that.
Mm.
Got a rent-free home for 6 months, man.
Right.
And so just ever since then, man, God has just been blessing, man. Like
Mm.
never going without. 2020, this is what
Mm-hmm.
God did. HHK was kind of about right here.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit. HHK went like
Wow.
this
Wow. Through the roof.
through the roof. That was the same year I got my LLC. A couple of months after that was when I got the spot.
Mm.
So it was like everything has just been, man, God has been just
Right.
blessing after blessing, and I look back like, man, I dreamed about this, like having a spot, and man, just I prayed and said, God, give me more customers, like get me to the point where I can seriously pay bills.
Mm.
That's what God has answered all of those prayers,
Wow.
man.
Amen.
All of those prayers, and He even got my wife to have her massage studio next
Mm-hmm.
door.
Wow. So y'all just taking over the block right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I just take it on the block.
Man,
Man, that is
man,
so
God is so good,
awesome.
man.
Nah, God is definitely so good. Man, let me ask you, what's the best dish, right? What's the dish that everybody hitting up the spot for? They like, hey, Chef
Man,
Smith, I need
the
this.
chicken,
Oh, it's the chicken.
chicken. So after I made it in 2013, I
Okay.
began to figure out like, man, it's got to be a better way to make this. So I was like, I'm gonna make it like KFC and Popeyes make theirs, like
Mm.
the smell, the taste, the texture, like everything. So
Mm.
I went in. So I went in my lab and I tried some things there. Like, okay, I'm almost there. And once I got it, oh man,
How
that's what
did you
people have,
how did
the
you
chicken.
manipulate this thing? I don't know if this is a prior a trade secret, you know what I'm saying? But
It is not
how
a
in
trade
the
secret.
world did you get this thing like this?
Man, flour. The thing that's the protein
Hmm.
that makes bread stretch, that
Mhm.
people are starting to be have an intolerance, is gluten.
Right, right.
And the thing is that it's not the gluten that's bad because it's a protein. It's the
Mm.
type of gluten. It's the
Interesting.
hybrid. It's
Oh, interesting.
the hybrid.
So like a
Like,
hybridized that comes from like the hybridized wheat and that type of thing.
yeah,
Mm.
that's what people are becoming allergic to and
Mm.
having an intolerance because it's the body does not recognize it because
Mm.
it's technically not it is it's not what God originally made
Hmm.
because the way God made bread is simple
Mm.
to where it's easy for the body to digest it.
Mm.
But man goes and it tries to make stuff
Right,
complicated.
right.
God is complex, but how he deals with us is simple.
Mm.
And so he makes things where it works better for us. So
That's interesting. So
yeah, so with
you able to figure that out from all the
yeah.
times you were messing with it. Gotcha.
Now the first time I had it, man, my stuff was just crazy and just flat. I don't know. I guess it was coming out so crazy because of how I was cooking it. And
Mm.
so just trial and error. And man, I say about a couple of years ago, I got that thing right. And I came on had the
Woo.
chicken sandwich.
Uh-huh.
That was it. That was
Hey,
it
when
right
we get to
there.
the spot, that's the one that's the one we hitting up. Y'all go to the spot, y'all ask
Yes.
about the chicken sandwich. Tell him, hey, we heard this on the line in Lambo. We want to try the chicken sandwich. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Man, let me ask you, where is
Yeah.
HHK, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen? Where is it going to be in 5 years?
Man, in 5 years, I see a bigger, actual sit down restaurant. N-
Mm.
People can come and sit down, but it's on like 4 chairs, man. It's
Mm.
not. Now, that's been the dream is to have a sit down
Mm.
restaurant.
Okay.
So, man, I see it being one in Huntsville, one in Memphis. Might even have one in Houston, man.
Hey,
Who knows?
now we're talking. Now we're we can close it off there. That's all I need to know. That's all I was waiting to hear. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm so excited. I so appreciate you coming on and
Man, I
sharing your story
appreciate
with us,
you.
man. And you know, a
Man,
lot of these nuggets throughout the way. And I really hope that people really caught how you really made God a part of your process all along the way.
hmm
You know, it wasn't
Oh
at one
yeah.
particular point in time. It wasn't at the end or the beginning. No, all along the way, you've made God a part of
hmm
your process, and He's still a
Oh
part of
yeah.
your business today. And you see that this is, like you say, heaven is the first word, right? And so the main thing is the gospel, right? That I'm using this business to present the gospel to the world. Now, I want to take just a moment just to talk about our sponsor today, and after that, I want to come back and just ask you, man, what is the big impact that your business has had, or maybe a person or an individual, outside of yourself, right? Because obviously your life changed, which then helped you to change other lives. But what was that impact that you saw, maybe a certain person that you've connected with through your cooking, that you say, this helps me to realize that what I'm doing is more than business, is also ministry. I want you to tell us that just as we close off, right? But I want to just tell us about Tent Makers 101. This is our sponsor for today, where Christian principles fuel business practices. And you might ask, are you a tent maker? Yes, you are. If you have a gift, a talent, a product, a service, any type of business that is seeking to follow in Jesus' footsteps and meet the needs of the community so you can impact them with the everlasting gospel. We're meeting every day on Facebook with other entrepreneurs in order to foster growth, collaboration, and strategic partnerships for increasing your brand awareness and your revenue. We truly believe that every business is a ministry. And when you accomplish God's purpose for you in the world in the form of products and services that provide true value to your particular audience, then guess what? You are truly successful. So don't wait. Join us on Facebook now at Tent Makers 101 Biblical Entrepreneurship. So Chef Smith, man, what was that impact that you've had on an individual outside of yourself, right? That really helped you to understand that your business is more than just about making money. It's about ministry.
Man, I would say since I have had the spot, and people have given Google reviews, and the overwhelming thing is that everybody says, man, the chef, the owner is he's so nice and friendly and just make you feel comfortable. And I've had people come in there like, man, there's an atmosphere here. Like the gospel music is playing and it smells good. It's essential oils, coming out of the diffuser. And so that's always been a dream, is to have a comfortable, safe space where people can come in and they can feel the presence of God. They can sense that, man, it's something different. Like I can go eat plant-based food anywhere because I'm not the only spot.
Right.
But there's a difference when they come to my spot. Even if they're not like, well, I don't want a track or a book to be pushed on me. I let stuff just be out there where people can freely take it, keep it. Is health things. It's the gospel. I have our books there. So yeah, that's been the thing. People come in and they say, man, you so nice and da da da. I went over here and the customer service was like this. And I and I think that plays a major impact. How's the customer service? If there is a mistake, how do you deal with it? If a person is upset, hey, the food was this and that. Because, sometimes the food ain't going to be perfect all the time, And so I have this policy of, I try to please the customer.
Right.
In a Christ-like way. Of course, you can't just be like, well, I messed up. Here's some honey. Here's a free meal. You can't do that all the time. But the concern of having the food to be right, to making the customer feel comfortable. When people are comfortable, they'll come back. They'll tell someone else, And so that's it. it hasn't been a one individual, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just been a collective of
Mm.
people. Just because people gonna tell you how they feel. Like
Right, right, right,
the food is good, but
right, right,
that
right.
his Harker.
Mm.
So I like to have the same positive energy that I have with the people working with me also. So
Mm. Amen.
so that's
That's a good
yeah.
point. That's smart, like you say, to have not just, you can't just think about you, but you also got to think about the atmosphere in your organization and the workers you have. You want them to have. If you want
Mhm.
to set this certain standard, then guess what? You got to make sure that the people you're bringing in also are displaying the same thing that you're seeking to display when you're connecting with
Oh
your
yeah.
customers as well, man. So, yeah,
Oh
man,
yeah.
thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? If they are not in the Huntsville area, and if
Okay.
they're in the Huntsville area, tell us how we can get in touch with you so we can get some of this chicken sandwich, that
Okay.
you got going on.
Well, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
Snapchat. I think I need to start a new one because mine has been passing up. But Facebook is Heaven's Healthy Kitchen,
Okay.
LLC.
Okay.
Uh, Instagram is Heaven's Healthy Kitchen, LLC. Twitter is Heaven's Healthy K. They
Okay.
didn't have enough characters for me to put the whole name.
Got you.
Uh, I am on YouTube. Just search Heaven's Healthy Kitchen.
Okay.
Chef Smith, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on LinkedIn, same thing, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen. And if you are coming to Huntsville, let me know in advance so I can have food ready for you.
Oh man, that sounds good. Don't worry, we're definitely going to let you know to make sure that we have the
Oh
food
yeah.
ready.
And if you wanna order is orderhhk.com, and just our overall site that talks about how we got started,
Okay.
my education, just different things that we're doing. That's heavenshealthykitchen.com.
Got you, got you. Yeah, we'll definitely send that there. And for all of y'all who are watching, of course, all the information is definitely in the description of this video. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening to your podcast, then you'll see that in the description as well, so that you can make sure that you can connect with Chef Smith, Heaven's Healthy Kitchen, right, and to just see and connect with somebody who's setting an atmosphere for health, right, and an
And,
atmosphere to share the gospel, right? That's the place you want to be at.
mm,
If you're in Huntsville, definitely stop by the spot, right? And get you
mm.
some good chicken sandwich, man. Let me know what you thought about it, right? Leave it in the comments. So, man, thank you so much,
Can I
Emmanuel.
say
Oh no, go
can
ahead.
I say one
Yeah.
last thing? Just advice. I would say don't let nothing stop you from your goals and your dreams, and especially what God has for you.
Mm, mm,
Um, I I I have a slight speech impediment. I stammer, and so as a child, I had that hold me back from doing so much.
mm,
I think I could have done more, but that drive in me just make me keep going.
mm-hmm,
But so whatever it may be, you're shy, you're scared,
mm,
you're unsure, you don't have money. Please don't let that stop you, because
mm,
I started off with house pots and pans, but I had a goal and I had a dream, and God
mm.
told me, He said, you are going to be successful.
Right.
And I actually had a customer tell me two years in, he said, you are going to get so busy that you're going to need to hire
Mm,
pe- people. Now, at this time, I'm like, man, I'm barely getting 10 customers. Like, what? And so, but that stuck
mm.
prepped me, and God personally said, "You are going to be successful. Be
Amen.
faithful, though, and put
Mm,
me first." And so that
mm.
advice, man, don't let nothing stop you.
Amen. Thank you for the advice as we close. And everybody be encouraged out there. And you know what? Be an encouragement to other people. A lot of times we just
Mm-hmm.
need that one word. You know, you may be coming across somebody who was in the same position Emmanuel was in years before when he only had those 10 customers. And you just sharing, like, hey, one day you're going to be at this place. You're no longer going to be having this problem you have at this point. You're going to have too many customers so much that you're going to have another problem of finding somebody that has to help you, right? But encourage people like that, right? And use those opportunities because it's going to keep people going, keep people pushing. And hopefully, man, we want, this is what we want to do to be able to provide you with information about biblical entrepreneurship, impact, and true success. So, hey, if you have somebody you say, man, I know somebody that needs that encouragement, needs to understand that God has called them to something greater, that he wants them to share the gospel through their business, through their talent, then call them to listen to the Lion and the Lambo podcast, because that's what we're seeking to do, and that's what we're seeking to help everybody with. So again, until next time, go out, have some impact, right, and come back and tell us about it. Y'all have a good day.